thank you so much for joining me today. Special shout out to Mitch Peak for asking me to speak to all of you today on Build Your Empire for Loan Officers and Realtors. I'm truly honored to be here. So I think I need to start with let me tell you who I am, what I want to share with you today, and I hope to make your day a little better, and maybe you'll have a takeaway or two. So my name is Laura Brandao. I am the president and a partner at AFR. For those of you that may not be familiar with AFR, I'm a national mortgage company, and about 90% of my production is from brokers and correspondent lenders. I think it's really important to give you some backstory on me and how I got here before we jump into where I think we are today and where I think as an entire industry we're going. I've been in the business for over 20 years. I actually started out as a young mom who was working in a telemarketing company in the evening as an outbound telemarketer. Now, the interesting part about that is the campaign that I worked on was Champion Mortgage. And for those of you that may not recall that company, it was a very large company, especially on the Northeast, in the Northeast where I am, where their slogan was, when your bank says no, Champion says yes. And it was before the subprime lending and before all of that. They were a company that when it didn't fit, conventional Fannie Freddie loans, they would fit into this program. And it was really great. So I jumped on the phone as a young mom and I started dialing away. And a couple of things happened. Number one, I was just thrilled to get out of the house. I was home all day and I needed somebody to speak to. And it was really exciting that I got to speak to a bunch of people on the phone and possibly refinance them and help them out. Well, as time went on, I actually spent 5 years at that company while my children were growing. And by the time I left, I had 200 telemarketers on the phone every evening from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m., calling people all across the country to see about the possibility of helping them to refinance. Well, after that, I said, well, I don't really want to work at night anymore. I want to get a job during the day. So what did I do? I went to go work for a mortgage broker. And at that time, I was a sales manager. And, I built up this team and we dialed and dialed and dialed again, just like I had learned previously. Well, the problem is that I generated so much business for this brokerage that we realized all the deficiencies on the operational side. And all of a sudden we had piles of leads and applications. The problem was we couldn't close any of them. So once again, I said, you know what? I know what I'll do. I'll learn the guidelines. I'll learn how to process loans. I'll learn the LOS system at the time, and I'll figure it out. And so at the age of 27, I became the COO of that particular company. I actually took them from being a broker to being a correspondent lender, setting up warehouse lines, and becoming the chief operations officer. And that was really, really great until we hit about 2007. And I think we all know what 2007 was. 2007 was walking into your company, whatever company you worked for, and saying to yourself, let me go on mortgageinflow.com and see if the company I'm either working with or working for is on the list. So 2007 was a really scary time for any of us that were working in the business. And so I decided I was going to place a phone call, to all my reps that I worked with, all the wholesale lenders at the time. And I said, hey, do you know anywhere that's, quote, safe? And my IndyMac rep, that I was good friends with, actually said, you know what, Laura, I do. I've got this, mortgage company in northern New Jersey, and they have this great idea. They want to open up a wholesale division. I said, sign me up. Let me go speak to that gentleman. And so I walked in and met with our CEO. I sat down and he said, Laura, here's the vision. We're going to open up a wholesale division. FHA only. Broker only. It's yours. Your baby to do whatever you want. Hire whoever you want. You can run it whatever direction. But by the way, yeah, there's no salary. This is 100% commission. And if you're really good at it, you'll do really well. And if you're not, you know what, the mortgage business is in shambles anyway. You'll just, have to figure it out just like everybody else. And so on June 18th in 2007, I showed up to work. And to give you an idea, AFR at that time consisted of about 24 employees total, 24 total employees. They were doing about $20 million a month in volume. Okay, so they were not a large company at that time. So I showed up for work, and the CEO pointed to a desk, and he said, "That desk, that's AFR Wholesale. Go get busy." What do you do? At that point, I sat down at the desk, I picked up the phone, and I went back to my roots. Because remember, I know how to telemarket. I know how to get someone to listen to me on the phone. I know how to get them to engage in a conversation. And most importantly, I know how to build a relationship with that person. So I brought up HUD.gov's website. And at that time, they were called mini eagles. That was the terminology back then. And I just started randomly calling people. And I said, "Hey, I know all these subprime companies are going out of business. I've got the solution. FHA down to a 500 FICO score. I can help you." I signed up 20 brokers the first week. And the first month in business, I closed 10 loans. I processed the loans with the broker. I worked with the underwriter and held their hand. Even the processor was also the closer, so I had a dual role there. And that person actually still works for our company at this time. She's one of our frontline underwriters now. So where did all that come from, right? Well, I think I even want to go back another step. So we build AFR and it grows and it grows. But the biggest common denominator and a part of this story that I want to share with all of you is that not having fear is probably the most important thing that I can share with all of you. And I'll even mention it today. So here I am, the president of AFR, a partner at AFR, and I'm here doing a Facebook Live. I have never done a Facebook Live in my entire personal or business career. But Mitch instant messaged me, and Mitch said to me, "Laura, would you have an interest in doing this?" And I didn't even hesitate to say yes. And why is that? Not because I didn't have butterflies in my stomach before the camera turned on this moment. I'm sure all of us, the first time we do something, has those butterflies in their stomach. But you know what, guys? If I can have one person out there connect to what I'm saying and realize that today and every day we have a choice of making a decision of doing something that gets us out of our comfort zone or not, do it. Don't have the fear. So I want to just go back a little bit again. So I led you up to how AFR Wholesale came. And I got to tell you, within the first year, we were doing $75 million a month of only FHA. Remember, that's all I had. FHA, broker loans, that was it. And we built this phenomenal division, and the company was growing, and we were moving into new space, and all these exciting things were happening while the entire mortgage business was crumbling around us. Honestly, when I look back at what happened in 2008, I actually don't have any negative thought about it, because in my world, that was one of the most exciting times in my life. Trying to figure out where I was going to, all of a sudden it was, okay, do I have enough warehouse lines? Do I have enough this? Oh, this company just went out of business. I can't go that direction. I got to go this direction. Okay, how do we handle compliance? How do we handle all these new and exciting things that were happening? It was thrilling. I'm probably one of the few people that would actually say I would go back and do it again. Most people would run away from that period of time in our industry, but not me, because I have happy thoughts about that exciting time. It was when I built the whole infrastructure of our company. And a lot of those people that worked with me back then, they're still here today. We joke about those times when we had those paper files, and we joked about on Friday afternoons. We actually had to have 5 offices because we were growing so fast we couldn't keep up with it. And on Friday afternoons, the setup girl would drive to my office where the underwriters were, and she would have boxes of files for the weekend. And I can remember her putting these banker boxes with paper files outside my office, and all the underwriters would run to go through the files to pick which files they wanted to underwrite over the weekend. Most of them were like, oh, it's a streamline. No, and they're fighting over who's going to do the streamline versus who's going to do a cash out versus who's going to do a purchase. It was exciting, and it was a glorious, glorious time. But talking about this, not having a fear, I need to go a little bit back to those telemarketing days again, because the fear factor really comes in together in how we think. So let's go back in time. Here I am. I'm 21 years old. Okay. I'm a young mom working in the evening at this telemarketing company. Okay. When I hear that I'm going to be working on a mortgage project, I don't even understand what a mortgage is. Of course, I understand you get a mortgage when you buy a house, and it's usually 30 years, and it's going to be the largest debt you ever have. Sure, I got that. But where I grew up, my parents never owned a home. I never experienced the mortgage process. I didn't understand what was entailed. I didn't know what a loan officer did, what a mortgage broker was. I didn't understand any of that. What I did understand is that I needed to work in the evening so I could be home during the day with my children. And I understood that $7 an hour that I was making made a difference in my family's life. And I smiled, and I dialed, and I had more applications than anyone else. And at that time, this is crazy to even think of this today, we would get people's social security numbers and date of births and actually pull their credit before the lead went over, so that people knew whether or not it was a good lead or a bad lead, or if it was worthy or not. So we didn't just say, hey, what's your house worth? And are you looking to refinance or rate and term cash out? We would literally pre-qualify them before they would go over to a champion loan officer. It was a really, really crazy time. So here I am, 21 years old. I'm smiling, I'm dialing, and I'm hearing about mortgages, and I'm hearing about people's houses and equity and cash out and all these great things. So I said, okay, you know what? I think I want to do this myself. I personally want to have a mortgage. I want to own a home. I want to be the next generation in my family where I actually own my own house. All right, so what do you do? Well, 4 o'clock one day, I walk into a telemarketing company that I work for, and I walked and I knocked on the door of the vice president's office. Well, who is this vice president? He's probably in his mid-50s. Again, I'm a 21-year-old telemarketing girl that works at night. Knocked on the door. He looked up. He said, yes. I said, Mr. White, I'm Laura Brandao, and I'm an evening telemarketer, and I wanted to ask you a question. Do you have a moment? He said, sure, have a seat. I said, well, I really love what I do here, and I'm so inspired to be working on this mortgage project that, what I'm thinking, one day I want to own a home, but I need to get some extra hours because I want to save. And he says, well, Laura, where would you like to buy a home? And I always remember that because he didn't just ask about hours or who the heck are you and why are you in my office. He actually personally connected to me before we spoke about anything with hours or buying a home. And I answered him. And then I said, is there a way for me to get some extra hours? And he said, well, I don't know. Let me ask you a question. How are you with computers? I thought to myself, oh my goodness. Well, I only graduated high school 4 years before. So I guess I'm pretty good with computers. I used it in high school. How hard could it be, right? No fear, remember. I quickly responded with, I'm great at computers. I would just need someone to train me on what you're thinking about. And so the next day, I stayed late and I had a technical person show me how to run the reports, how to back up the system back then, all that good stuff. And it didn't end there. What happened next is when I ran those reports, I sat there and read them. And I started looking at the different campaigns. One campaign was champion, but there were 5 other campaigns that went on in the evening. And I sat down that evening and I read through the conversion rates, the dial per hour. It was an automated dialing system, so it automatically dialed, but how many connections did they have? What was their conversion? Who were the best at converting? Who stayed on the phone very long and who was very quick and they lost the client immediately and couldn't get them to stay on the phone? And I stayed there till midnight that first night. And when I handed those reports over, it included my analysis, it included my commentary, it included my recommendations of who they should put on what campaign, because I actually thought some people's skill set was better for one campaign versus another. The next day, the executive team walked into those reports. And the day after that, I became the supervisor of that company. A week after that, I became the entire manager of the entire nighttime telemarketing organization. And I proceeded to stay there for another 5 years in that role. So what did we learn with that, right? One thing I learned is whether it was 20 years ago or whether it's today, those same principles still stand. One, although at 21, no one ever told me I couldn't knock on the door of the vice president's office. No one had ever said, Laura, there's a chain of command and you can't possibly go right to the vice president. You have to go through the supervisor and the manager and everything else. I didn't know any better because honestly, I don't think anybody would ever thought a 21-year-old girl that was a nighttime telemarketer would ever have the guts to go knock on the vice president's door. But I did. And that's why even today, for anyone that's a client of mine, you guys know that at any time, you could get me on the phone. Because who am I? I'm just a person in the mortgage business that's here to help families come home. That's who I am. There's not a label or a title or any other reason why you shouldn't be able to speak to someone that is at a certain, quote, title or level within a company. So I've learned I never have fear, because as long as I am doing something that's positive to someone else, then there's no harm in it. It was never an intention of trying to step my way over people to take their jobs. Honestly, most people ran away when I came. I didn't have to step over anybody. And the reason why they ran away is because they realized that I had more passion and more dedication, and I will work much harder than any of those people, and they got scared and left. I didn't have to walk over anyone. So here's the next topic. Why do we do what we do? Why are we in the mortgage business or the real estate business? Because I have to tell you, a lot of times I love to speak to my clients. Love, love, love it. And one of the things that I've seen, and this is actually the conversation Mitch and I had just a few days ago, we noticed that in the last, I actually think it's 20 months. All right, I was thinking about the timing. I think it's about 20 months. In the last 20 months, I have seen a change in our industry, a very positive change, a change that is probably the reason why I'm doing a Facebook Live today, and the reason why I truly enjoy being able to speak at conferences and connect with people, because I've seen a new energy come into our industry. Because for a very long time, I think people may have forgotten why we do this. I think for a long time it was the rat race and the monotony, and everybody jumped in for one reason or another. Most people land in our business by accident. It's referred by someone that's in the business, or my cousin, my sister, my mother, somebody got me into the business. Or I've heard it quite a few times, I hear people make good money in the mortgage or real estate business. I can do that. That you don't need an actual college degree to go do mortgages or real estate. I think I could do that. So with that in mind, let's think about today. Why are we doing this? Because 20 months ago, I started to see a beautiful, beautiful word, collaboration. I started to see all kinds of people coming together, loan officers and operations staff and owners and presidents of company and C-suites and brokers and correspondents and all different sorts of people coming together with the common goal of actually helping these families. And I think in the year 2019, and we're about to turn the page to 2020 in just a few months, I think it's time that we really think about why we do this. And to realize that together, we are so much better. Groups like this, what Mitch has put together, and there's many other great groups out there where it's giving people a voice. It's giving people a connection. It's allowing people that maybe I'm not an expert in this, but together I can ask these questions and I can learn and have confidence, because at the end of the day, it's the families we're helping that are going to win. And I think that's what we all want, right? That's what we all want. And it's very interesting. There's a study that actually goes into 5 segments for a very happy life. What does a person need? What does a human, what do we need? All right, here they are. Very simple. 1, it's physiological. It's your basic needs. Food, water, a house, a roof over your head. Second thing you need, no threats. I don't feel danger. I feel no threats. 3, love, belonging. That's your relationships. 4 is your esteem. It's your confidence and feeling you're in control. You're not spiraling. You're not, oh my, what's going to happen? And you know what the 5th thing is? And this is the part that goes back to what I just said. It's doing what lights you up. And I'm going to tell you that when you're out there, whether you're getting clients from referral, whether you're working on social media, whether you're doing print ads, whether you're mailing postcards, whatever way you're doing business, we are in an industry. And I really like to use this analogy a lot with my team. I say that if I was sick my family member was sick, I would be on the hunt for the best, most qualified, experienced doctor, specialist I can find. I'm searching the internet, I'm asking around, I'm doing everything, because at the end of the day, that's either me or my family that I love dearly, and I need to make sure they're taken care of. Isn't it the same thing in our industry? Think about that. If you didn't know about our industry, you're coming in cold of this fear, and again, you're not in your stomach, where you're all excited, the emotion is high, I'm going to go out and buy a home. Well, now the fear sets in. All of a sudden, you've got questions. Oh my goodness, am I going to be able to make this payment every month? What if something happens and I lose my job? What if we decide to add another child to our family and daycare costs makes it difficult? What if, right? So us as an industry, we have to provide all of those 5 segments to our clients. 1, the roof over their head. 2, they don't feel danger. 3, a sense of love and affection. Relationship, not a cold, I know everybody wants to text, and I think texting is great. I know lots of clients want that. But there will absolutely be a time when that family, and I don't care the age, I don't care if they're, right out of college buying that home, or they're an empty nester and have gone through the mortgage process before, they need to speak to you. That's the difference between a fintech company and you. Maybe a refinance, that's a whole nother thing, and you might not have to have as much interaction. But when they're purchasing that home, they need that relationship. 4 is esteem. At the end of the day, I know if I had an ailment or my family member needed a specialist, if I didn't feel confident in that specialist, I certainly would go find another. So your confidence that you share and you give out to your client is extremely important and valuable. And you know what I also find? A lot of times people really, really are afraid to admit they don't know something. Now, I'm sorry. There's no way you're ever going to know the answer to every single possible scenario and question that your client may ask you. Unless you only do, something in a very small box and you do the same thing over and over again. You're going to be posed with something you may not be 100% sure. Telling your client that you need to research it, get with someone, give you a moment, people will respect that. People will absolutely 100% take you as being confident in the fact that you want to make sure you give them the right answer over you guessing, giving them the incorrect information, and you lose all credibility. So have confidence in yourself that you don't have to know everything. It's okay. Just surround yourself with experts where you can get that answer. And then 5. This is the one that is so near and dear to my heart. Self-actualization. Doing what lights you up. People, when they meet me a lot of times, conferences, or they hear me, they say, Laura has so much energy. She's so passionate. That is 100% accurate. There is not a day that passes that I need an alarm clock to wake me up. I am in my office at 6 o'clock every morning at my desk and working because I am so excited to jump out of bed because I love our industry. And I can only hope that all of you, whether you're in real estate, whether you're in the mortgage business, I only hope that you realize that you're that specialist. You have a skill and a craft that is extremely valuable to the families that are coming to you. And I know recently there's been lots of, this company is getting into mortgages and this company, tech companies, are getting into real estate. Oh my, what's the future of our industry? I haven't even thought 1 second about that. Because at the end of the day, regardless, technology is extremely important. I am all for all the bells and whistles to help simplify, streamline, make it a better communication for our clients. All of that is extremely important. But the relationship and the guidance and your expertise in our industry is vital and valuable. But you can't look at it as a job. You can't look at it as a grind. You can't look at it as, oh, living the dream, another wonderful day. No, it's a privilege. It's an honor. You are the specialist, and you need to come across with your clients to share that, because I promise you, it comes across. It comes across on the phone. It comes across even in your email. Even when you're typing something, it comes across. And if you think that you can just blow them off or you could just be robotic, you can't. They can tell. Your clients can tell. And if you show this passion, I'll give you a little secret. It's contagious. When you share it with someone, they not only will react to you in that way, they will actually share that with others. And your referral network will continue to grow. Your referral network will continue to build to the point that you're not always searching for new people to come, because that network will grow so large and so many people will want to feel that energy, that passion, that vigor for what you love to do. You won't really have to struggle with, where do I get the next transaction? Where's the next family that I can help? It will spread. It absolutely will be contagious, okay? So where do I think we are at this point? Just exactly that. One, collaborate. I really, really am so pleased with what I've seen over the last 20 months. With being in the industry as long as I've seen so many cycles and so many changes. But for a very long time, it became routine. It became complacent. It was just the same people over and over again. But not now. Now you're seeing lots of new players. You're seeing people that maybe they're not new, but they're speaking up for the first time. They have a voice. Listen to that voice. And the best part about this new group that I'm seeing come in the last 20 months, they share. They're not walking around with ego. They're not closed off and afraid. They actually sincerely want the industry to grow and want the industry to have this amazing reputation of us being experts and us being there to provide the best programs and the best rates and the best service for the families that we're helping. So don't be afraid to reach out. Don't be afraid to connect to people that sometimes you might want to sit back on the bench a little and just watch the game. Get in the game. Get out of the comfort zone. Don't have any fear. Because I got to tell you guys, what's the worst thing that can happen? They ignore you. They don't respond. Is that really going to negatively affect your day, your week, or your life? Not really. But from what I've seen, they are responding. They are giving back positive, wonderful feedback. And I've had the pleasure over the last probably 18 months or so of doing panel discussions. I've moderated a bunch of them for top originators. And I've heard them get up there on a stage, get in front of video, and share how they've built a successful branch broker company, any organization, they have shared it all. They've given how they do their social media, how they buy their leads, how they hire their loan officers. They share how they compensate their employees. These are taboo subjects that were never spoken about. They're now sharing it. Now's the time to get off the bench and get into the game. Because, as we all know, the cycles turn. And you never know when the music is going to stop. You don't know when all of a sudden the sharing is over. All of a sudden it's time to close it again. And if you missed it, well, maybe another 10 years the cycle will come back. You don't know. So get off the bench, get in the game, and start connecting and start collaborating, because I have never in the entire time I've been in the business ever seen the market we are in today. And we all know, hey, the rates are really low right now, right? Hey, congratulations, that's awesome. There's lots and lots and lots of business. Don't lose sight. Don't lose sight of a lot of things. One, don't lose sight of your past customers. And, you know, I have a panel discussion coming up next month. And I was interviewing one of my panelists just on Friday. And, you know, I was asking him, you know, a few questions. And he said something to me I have to share because it was so brilliant. He said, we were talking about the market. We were speaking about the rates going down and everybody's busy. And he said, Laura, I love when the rates go down. And I said, oh, you do a lot of refis? He said, no, that's not why. I said, well, then why? He goes, I love this time because all those loan officers ignore their realtor partners. He goes, you know what I tell my team to do? Start calling and visiting them. He goes, and then those realtors that used to be getting all the text messages and emails and the phone calls and the visits and the taking lunches and all that good stuff, well, they're too busy with refis now. And then he has his team come in and say, how can I help you? What can I do for you? I'm here for you. Oh, no. You know, I have a team back in the office handling my refis. I'm a purchase guy. I take care of my realtors. Learn from that. Learn from that message that, yes, we all know we need to take advantage of all those families that can be valuable of lowering the rate and doing a refi. You should take advantage of them. Absolutely. But also keep in mind that if you're not taking care of your referral partners or your past clients, someone else will. Whether it's the servicer or whether it's another loan officer coming into your real estate office or referral partner, whatever the referral may be mindful of that. You definitely have to try to position yourself where both are there, because we all know rates go up, rates go down, cycles happen. You do not want to lose focus on all those great things that you've been doing over the last, year or so, building up and converting into a purchase money situation. You don't want to lose that. You did a lot of work. You made that happen. Don't lose sight of that, okay? The other thing is also building your own personal brand. A lot of times we get into this, I'm watching someone on social media, you know what, I'm going to do exactly what they do. Yeah, sure. Some of that is great. You can certainly get ideas. You can certainly be creative. You can certainly use some of those similarities, but make it your own. Be you. Because no matter what, when you're comfortable in your own skin and you're confident of who you are, it will come across in such a positive way that your clients will feel it. If you're trying to pretend to be somebody else or second guessing what you're going to say or how you're going to say it, people feel it. People know that that is not you and that's not who you are. So be yourself and allow that to come through to your clients, because they absolutely will pick up on it and it'll be a positive thing. Okay? All right. Then another thing that's important, especially at this time in our industry, it's actually another thing that one of my panelists said to me. Be mindful of your team. We all know if you're a loan officer or you're a realtor and right now you're busy and right now all this stuff is happening and you have support, whether it's that loan officer assistant, whether it's the processor, even if you're a broker and you're working with a lender, everyone is very busy right now. Everybody is doing their best to keep up with the volume and to really try their hardest to make everybody happy. But we all know that all of a sudden when this huge influx of loans comes, it's hard to all of a sudden go from 5 to 10. You know, like you can't just instantly turn things up. So sure, people are working overtime. People are working on the weekends. They're doing 7 days a week. But you know, it's vacation time. It's August right now. We all know the kids are going back to school in some parts of the country. In other parts of the country, it's the end of school vacation. So don't forget that the team that you have, the support that you have, whether it's internal, whether it's external, take a moment and appreciate them. Take a moment and say thank you. Take today to reach out to them and say, hey, you're doing an amazing job, and I'm grateful for you. Because I know that I can't keep originating or I can't keep getting these houses sold if I didn't have that support. So I really, really want everybody just to take a moment and realize none of us can do it alone. Doesn't matter how hard you work. Doesn't matter how early you get up. It doesn't matter of anything. We all have people that help us. Say thank you to them. Give them a moment of gratefulness. Buy them lunch. Send them a card. Whatever. Send them a meme. I don't know. Send something to them just to make them either smile and, most importantly, realize you appreciate them. Because we all have to work together to bring these families home. Okay? So just want to throw that out. All right, so I truly, truly have enjoyed my time. And I want to thank Mitch again for asking me to do this. And most importantly, getting me out of my comfort zone. Because today, this is my first Facebook Live, and I will never forget it. One day, I'm sure you'll even be in a speech someday, as I mentioned, getting over my fear of doing this. So thank you so much for asking me. Thank you to all the group. I truly, truly appreciate the opportunity to speak with you. And by all means, I said, I'm a really big collaborator. I love to hear whether you're a client, not a client, you're just somebody in the industry. I love to hear from you because I enjoy hearing what's going on. It makes me a better leader to understand what's happening in the marketplace, what our market needs, what our families need, what everybody needs. Because when I hear that, it allows me to make great decisions. And I truly appreciate the feedback. So thank you so much. I hope everybody has a fantastic day. All the best.